Greg Moore, AZ Central Sports, Ashley Nevel, SB Nation, Paul Richardson, The Sports Cave. Listen, you guys know what we're doing here. We're trying to create the conversation that we as Suns observers wish we had more access to more often. So right now we're talking Suns off-season priorities. We just came back from the pre-draft workouts, the first of, I think, 4 days worth, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Yes.
So first of 3 days worth. Let's start off with talking about what we saw today, and then we'll talk about how that fits into the bigger picture. So what'd you see out there today, Ashley?
So the first thing that I really enjoyed is the fact that Monty was really involved with those workouts, and I guess that's something that hasn't really been the case with some of the workouts that most of the guys had gone to. So I think, you know, James Jones had mentioned he wants to use that as a way to build culture, as a way to show that Monty cares about the players. He cares about developing these guys. So I thought it was really cool to hear about his involvement, and they were all able to like take something away from these workouts too. It wasn't just about, okay, what can you do for the Suns, but more so, what can the Suns do to help these young players develop as they go throughout this whole entire process. So I thought that was a really cool element.
Paul, what about you?
Yeah, two things. One, to follow what you said, he also pointed out that they may not be drafted by the Suns, but who knows if 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line, they don't end up in a trade, end up as a free agent, and end up joining this team. So now you've already worked with these kids, and so you know, have an idea of what you're getting in terms of work ethic, in terms of being able to fit in with the schemes, because you signed a coach for 5 years, so maybe 2, 3 years down the line, you want to know what type of reputation they have and work ethic. Two, since there is no coaching staff that's completely filled out, not only is it not odd for Monty to work this, but it makes me think, will Monty coach the Summer League team? Because as a first-year coach, maybe he wants to have his fingerprints on everything from day one, not just doing these pre-draft workouts, but also coaching the Summer League team.
So now we know Igor coached the Summer League team last year. Monty said earlier this year that he didn't want to do it. He said he wanted to save those reps for somebody else. But if they don't get a staff in here soon enough, that makes sense, right? It could be an option that's on the table. We'll see. We'll stick with what he said for now, but we'll see what happens. So what did you guys think of the process, right? Because all of the guys talked about how it was challenging for them, right? They were in a challenging competitive environment, and James Jones, the general manager, came up and talked about it afterward. He said, look, we're putting these guys in a taxing environment kind of to see what they're made of. What did you think about that? Do you think that's a good strategy?
I do, because, you know, another thing that Monty mentioned at his opener, the press conference, is that he really learned how to give constructive criticism, but not in a way to make the guys not feel comfortable. And I think, you know, when you're doing this whole draft process, you want to be in positions that are uncomfortable, but you want to feel comfortable while doing it. So I think it's important that they did do things like that, of that nature, to test not just how they play, but their mind. You know, and you know, last year they would do those running drills at the end just to kind of test that mental toughness.
Right.
And they probably implemented something similar to that today, but more of the 3-on-3 workouts.
I was actually disappointed they didn't do that same
here. I wanted
drill.
to hear about that, but I think that's more of something that Ryan McDonough had implemented with the Suns when he was still there, because I actually talked about him at Pro Day recently about that, and it was about testing that mental toughness. So I think James Jones wanted to implement something maybe a little bit different, but to still kind of test that there. So I'm all about it. I'm all about, you know, testing guys.
Well, what do you think?
I'm glad they didn't have the run, to be perfectly honest with you. Here's why. It's not because I've seen them do that run,
right?
And I don't think that any human should be forced to do that.
They go 3 minutes sprinting end to end, and then you count the number that you get at the end, right? And I want to say the record's somewhere in the 30s.
Yeah, but the thing is, there were people that went into the draft saying, I knew that was going to be at the end. I knew that was going to be at the end. I heard that a lot over the last 2 years. So were they thinking about what they were doing, or were they thinking about this run at the end? I like them being put in basketball situations. A couple of the young men talked about pace of play, what they would do coming off screens, what decisions they were making. One of the young men said, I played okay, I didn't play great, I didn't play bad. And it was like, I made some shots, I made some plays. It was nice to hear them talk about that, as opposed to a 3-minute run, which no one will ever do in the course of an NBA game.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's all about taxing a guy and then seeing what he's made of at the end of it. And so, right, if you know that this 3-minute run's coming and you let that become an albatross that prevents you from doing what it is that you're out there to do, which is to showcase your skills, yeah, that makes sense. That could be a problem. That makes sense for me. Okay, so how did the guys you met today, because we don't know who's coming in the rest of the week, right? We're going to see a few more guys, probably 12 more each day. I'm curious how you think this group fits in with the Suns' off-season priorities. And let's read off the names, right? So we had Kai Bowman from Boston College, Ethan Happ from Wisconsin, Mie Oni from Yale, Dylan Ostowski from Texas, Justin Robinson from Virginia Tech, Justin Simon from St. John's, John Concher from Purdue, Fort Wayne, Uipui, Cody Martin from Nevada, Garrison Matthews from Lipscomb, Max Strauss from DePaul. We didn't see him today.
No.
And then Trayshawn Thurman from Nevada and Grant Williams from Tennessee. Let's talk about what you saw from this group of guys and how you think that might fit in with the priorities going forward.
Well, we all know that they need a stretch four. That's
Yeah.
one thing that they've been really honed into, and a point guard. But for me, I think they need more of a veteran point guard. I'm not sure they're going to find any point guards in this draft that can truly make a difference
Right.
with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton next season. But like I said, they could still be trying to do that whole rebuilding process, or they could try to bring someone in now that could maybe make somewhat of an impact. But in terms of like a stretch four, I'm really high on Grant Williams, two-time SEC Player of the Year, a guy that's not only going to bring the physicality on the floor, but he's also a very, very smart guy.
Yeah.
And he comes from a culture, a good team. Most of his teammates are actually in the draft
Yeah.
right now.
Right.
So I think what he would bring to the Suns is what they need. They're trying to build a culture here. So a guy like that, I think, would be amazing for them.
What about you?
The one thing I've noticed about these, and this is no different, these are their second-round picks, or if they make any trades or moves, these are the guys that fall into it. And being realistic, without being unfair to any of these kids, I see Grant Williams and maybe Ethan Happ being someone who could be someone that can help them with Summer League, be on the roster, maybe end up G League. I think he can play in the NBA. Grant Williams can play in the NBA day one. But usually it's a warm-up. It's kind of like a 62 cut list. The first few are warming us up for the people they can actually draft to make impacts. These are all good kids that will probably play Summer League, probably play G League, but none of these, let's not fool ourselves, are the number 6 pick.
Right, no, for
No,
sure.
absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
With Grant Williams, okay, I remember seeing him play here at the Jerry Colangelo Classic. The thing that really stood out to me about Tennessee, all of these guys are big, tough, like built guys. They spend a lot of time in the weight room.
Yes.
Also, they played under Rick Barnes, right? Rick Barnes coached TJ Ford at Texas. He coached Kevin Durant at Texas. So they had high-end coaching. With Grant Williams, I wonder if he's not a poor man's P.J. Tucker or a young version of a P.J. Tucker, which to me, the Suns maybe could use somebody with that skill set. But we need veterans on this roster to see improvement, don't we? I mean, if we want to look for improvement on the Suns, I don't know that it's going to come from rookies. Particularly, I don't think it's going to come from this group. So let's transition the conversation into off-season priorities. You mentioned a stretch four, you mentioned a point guard. How would you prioritize those needs and what would you do to address them?
I would probably package a couple guys right now. I mean, if you look at Tyler Johnson's contract, that's taking up a lot of space right now. So if you could maybe package that in with one of these draft picks, maybe the number 6 draft pick,
Right.
for I think a point guard is the biggest piece that they need. The point guard is the guy that runs the entire offense and defense.
Let me throw one at you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
The Houston Rockets say everybody is on the block.
Nope, we're not going there.
Chris Paul has a gigantic contract,
Yes.
but he's a veteran leader. He can tell DeAndre Ayton to get over there, Devin Booker to go over there. Would you try to clear enough space to bring in Chris Paul, or is he worth the luxury tax?
I don't think so. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a top point guard in the league. He's getting old, though.
Yeah.
And he's getting old. He's injured. I mean, we don't need that. I mean, we saw enough injuries last season with Devin out. Basically, the whole starting 5 was out, at least for a short period of time. So, I mean, why would we want to trade up all of this for a guy who's maybe going to give us, 1 or 2 years? I mean, I just don't see the point in doing that when they want to try to build something long term.
So I think Chris Paul's going to the Lakers under your scenario. I hate them. Go ahead, Paul. Tell me what you're thinking.
Never sign a guy who's over 30, whose contract is more than his age.
Wow.
So he's going to get over $40 million,
Yeah.
and he's 35 years old.
Okay.
And he hasn't played more than 65 games. You know it. I've said it before. I don't want them to trade for a point guard. I think they need a point guard. I think he is residing in Utah right now. He is an unrestricted free agent. Go and get Ricky Rubio, bring him here. Because the one thing, they're bringing all these point guards. I'm being serious.
That was my same reaction.
Ricky Rubio.
Ricky Rubio.
It's actually wearing on me. Like it makes more sense the more you think about it. Let him finish.
Well,
okay.
You draft Ellie Okobo to be your next come up, right?
Right.
So Are you saying then you're going to scrap that young point guard, or DeAnthony Melton scrap that young point guard to go and get yet another young point guard? Where are you going to move those two players? So that's why I say go get a veteran that you don't have to spend a ridiculous amount of money on, that's not going to want to shoot the ball. So, yeah, I'm big. If they had the number 2 pick and John Morant was in there, heck yeah, go get him. At number 6, take the best available player. But go out and get you a point guard that you can afford that's not going to take shots away from Booker and from Aiden and stop Mikal's development. You hire a guy to be a 3 and D player, well, the other part of that D is a 3.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to get him the ball.
Yeah.
So Ricky Rubio isn't going to eat those shots up. So I love all these kids, but I'm not off that bridge yet.
All right, let's wrap it up on this. Suns culture. It's been a huge topic of conversation. James Jones is the general manager. Monty Williams is the head coach. Jerry Colangelo came out and said that he believes that the Suns are in position to do something different than they've done. What are your thoughts just from having been around? You're at every game. I see you all the time. You're at the shoot-arounds. Tell me what you think when you think about the Suns culture as opposed to what you've seen in the past. And I know it's early, right? Like we can't say for sure, but we can predict. So what are your predictions?
So I do think that they are in a position to succeed, and bringing Monty Williams in, I mean, not only is he, a player's coach, but he played the game of basketball, and he truly cares about his guys. Every person I talk to with the Sixers, I talked with TJ McConnell when he was in town. I also talk with a couple guys on the coaching staff as well. They cannot say enough good things about this guy. And I think when you bring in guys who've played the game, like a James Jones, who's played the game, they understand the grind. They understand how to relate to these guys. And that was one thing I thought that they were missing last season. I mean, not to, stab anybody or say anything bad about Igor Kokoshkov. I just feel that there was a disconnect between him and the players. And I think that's something that these guys really need. If you want to build and grow, Book needs someone who can guide him, someone that, like Monty has mentioned, someone who's not going to take away from what he's already been able to contribute, but be able to provide some guidance, maybe some pointers here and there. So I just think that they are in the position to succeed because they understand, they get it, they've been there, done that.
How in the world did you not lead with TJ McConnell? I've been talking about TJ McConnell.
I love TJ McConnell. He's amazing.
James Jones said today at the draft workouts, he said we don't need to do anything. What we have to do is continue to build toward a competitive organization. So Paul, what are your thoughts? Do they have to bring in a big name? Do you believe that there actually has been a culture shift? What did you think when you heard James Jones say that?
I think he's absolutely right, because I get tired of people saying, well, look what they've done, look what they've done, look what they've done. If you have a child and you keep saying, look what they've done, you're basically saying, I don't believe you can ever get better. So there has to be a point of trust somewhere. And what they're doing now is they're bringing in for the first time, and like Ashley said, I'm not disrespecting any other coach because they did what they could do, but you're bringing in a guy that's proven that he can do this task. And so you're actually now not looking on the players per se to be the leader, but you're actually looking at the coach to be the leader, and you're looking at James to set the right culture for that coach to succeed. Before, I think Ryan is a great analytical guy. I think he could put numbers together and kind of put pieces where he thinks they should go. But you also need that people side. And the one thing that the Suns had under Ryan, unfortunately, is when players left, they left by shooting darts. And if one person leaves and shoot darts, then it's that's just them. But when everyone leaves, they're shooting darts and they didn't do this right, they didn't do this right, they didn't do this right. You got to change that. And you've changed the culture with the coach. Now you have a person in that knows basketball, that is a people person. And like Ashley, I did due diligence on Monty as well, and I called Steve Hunter, who's an ambassador with Suns, played with Suns. He played with Monty, and he's like, dude, this guy is the right choice. This is it. So everything is pointing in an up direction. I don't see, honestly, I just think fans and everyone has to get off of that. This is what happened. Well, look at what Sarver used. Stop. You have to give this team, this leadership, a chance to make the change.
Yeah. You fully can understand why fans would be jaded, right? It's been a long time since there's been anything close to winning around here. That you can fully understand. But it does seem like these guys have a plan, and at least it seems like they're executing the plan. We're going to keep watching, and if it goes a different direction, we'll say what we see. All right, Greg Moore, Ashley Nevel, SB Nation, Paul Richardson, The Sports Cave. Till next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.